or something.
They're more exciting off. I've seen
I
that.
think
Little green lights on anyway, and if that's on, that's probably the most important.
I did have something to add to the agenda,
Okay.
which was so that we were gonna have them talk about it again. To be added so that I'm sure it would be under continuing business.
Yeah.
Where you wanna add them in that, do you want to make them
Well-
wait till the very end of the meeting, or?
No, it would be nice if they could, do public concerns and comments, but so that they wouldn't, because I think they, when Terry called me, he said that they just wanted to update us on the things that they've discussed with the, different boards.
No, but it'll probably occur during my department. Or public.
So we could put them right, we could do it, well, it won't take us long to get through that. We could just put them at the new business, but it's open.
Can you do it
When they get here?
arrive, or-
If it's all right with the council, we could just do it when they arrive. You know, finish whatever we're talking about at that second, and then, so that they aren't here very long.
That's fine, I just wanted
But
to make sure they were on
yeah,
there
because
somewhere.
they plan on coming.
I move to adopt the agenda with Marcia and Terry somewhere on it.
I'll second.
Okay. In the minutes?
Can we vote on this?
Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor of accepting the agenda with Marcia and Terry added to it eventually?
And I'll move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor of approving the minutes? Okay. Appropriation ordinance?
I'll approve appropriation ordinance 1460.
I'll second.
Tim?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
Public concerns and comments? Do we have anybody here that has a concern or a comment during this time? If you're not on the agenda, now would be the time to speak up.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. Please identify yourself,
I can't hear it very well.
Dawn Wall.
and if you need to, you can step forward if you can't speak louder. Okay.
Okay, city limits. Is it possible that we can rezone?
In other words, you want to secede from the city?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
You see, we annexed the property in years ago.
Yeah.
And they want to be annexed, but I don't know.
de-annexed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be hard, the road's not paved.
Yeah. I don't know.
We got one on me. I've never de-annexed anything before. So.
Can we do a little research on that and get back with you on it?
You sure can.
All right,
Why
thank
would we
you.
want to de-annex something that brings us a tax?
Well, I don't know. That's why we're gonna look in.
I would, well, that's, I think that's the right question.
Mhm.
I mean, if there's a procedure for de-annexation, it's just a procedure. It doesn't,
Right.
I mean, it's neither good nor bad. If you guys don't want to de-annex, then there's no reason to
Then you
examine
don't
the
approve
question. Well, I mean, yeah, if you don't
So
want
we
to,
should make a decision of that now instead of wasting a ton of time looking into something when we're not going to approve it irregardless.
I have no interest in de-annexing anything.
I know what's
That
gonna
pulls from the
happen. I know what's gonna
general fund,
happen if we
I'm not
agree
interested
to
in
it. If, let's imagine that we were going to. How many other people are gonna say, well, then I want out. I want out.
I don't know, there could be several that would want de-annexed if they allowed it.
I think so.
Well, I know I got annexed into the city because I wanted to be involved with the sewer system and the gas system and the water system, which I would have gotten anyway, just would have had to pay more for it, so. All right.
Affect utilities and everything as well too.
Yeah, this is true. Thank you, Mike.
so just to It sounds like nobody's interested in pursuing a de-annexation.
Is there a particular reason why you want to be de-annexed? I'm just,
Well, because those moved for somebody to be mayor, and before we bought it, and now we're buying it, and now we're having problems with the city laws. It's kind of like we're right there, cows behind us, horses on one side, horses on the other side, goat in front of us, and we're getting picked on.
Yeah, pretty much.
They want to have animals.
We don't want horses.
We don't want
We don't want goats. We don't want cows. Well, we do want a cow. One cow. That's for us, not for breeding.
how many acres do you have?
3.
And we allow for 5 acres, yeah. And we just redid that
Right.
when
But
you,
the people next to us have 3 horses.
but they're not in the city.
Next to us, yes, they are.
It was on our, you're looking at our house, on our left.
Yeah.
They probably have the appropriate amount of acreage then.
No, we don't.
Do you know
Yeah.
who that would be?
Yeah, better.
Thank you.
They have horses?
Yeah.
I didn't realize they have horses.
Now, if somebody reports it to the animal control officer, then maybe that's pursued.
I have.
You reported it to
Debbie.
Deb? And what did she tell you?
She considers this country. So do I.
When I called the county today about that question that you asked me about the annexation and stuff, and I called up there to see it was indeed your property line, they told me that your property line is actually almost to the Night House, that would encompass.
here's what happened. Almost.
So here's what happened.
To the what?
Almost to the, your neighbors on the east
Susie
side.
and Kenny Knight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost to that, they're their place. So that pasture there is yours,
Holy crap.
is what the county lady said. The SAR said.
Almost to their structure?
Well, not their
Probably to
lawn,
their
but I
fence line.
want to say their property line.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was maybe halfway through the pasture, and he said no. What he was looking at, he said it felt like it was further east than that.
Wow.
See, we didn't have it, 'cause we're
It's
buying
on
it
that
by
map right
contract.
there.
Yeah, we didn't have it surveyed.
So
Right
right
there.
behind him.
It shows the city limits right on there.
I'm pretty sure we had more than 3 acres.
Open record.
I think he had 3 acres. Because Linda Cole, was it Linda that owned that?
Linda
Mullen.
Cole had it,
Well,
Yeah.
it's 50
Yeah.
Yates.
Vicky Yates.
Yeah.
Ian had it.
But anyway,
You guys have a plot. You guys have plots here in the records on
The
Sorry,
county,
what?
it. Like the
Plat.
Right.
A plat map?
Or is that in Alma?
well, we have a map right there. And what I was talking about is what the county uses to assess taxes and stuff, so it was accurate. You could call up and talk to them tomorrow.
you also look online and look up Muncie County GIS.
Okay.
And that will can direct you to the Kansas Open Records search window that will give you a full electronic map of the entire county that you can do the search on.
.org, .gov.
It's.org.
Orca.
Yeah, Orca.
And you can click on your property and it will give you basically a breakdown of how much is there.
Also love of Pete, Terry.
It really doesn't matter, one person wants to be annexed and, somebody else comes along. It all considers their, situation. If they're right in middle town, they want to be de-annexed, of course they can. But, we was told before we bought it that it moved, and we just want that. I mean, it's not a road with a speed sign on it, for heaven's sake.
Oh my God, that's a big problem. I'm tearing down our road at 50 miles an hour because of dirt.
Well, you're not gonna get sympathy out of mayor on that, I'm sure.
Oh, I know, because they do it to her house too, I'm certain.
Unfortunately, with mine is chip and seal, and so they go faster.
Yeah.
My neighbor lost several animals, yeah,
Crazy.
I know.
Well, I think, it sounds like that we're not open to entertaining the de-annexation of anything currently in the city limits.
Is there anything else you wanted to discuss then? Okay. If you have any further information on this subject, just feel free to bring it back and we'll continue on, but
We do have a copy, or you can probably get a copy of our ordinance concerning the farm animals or the animals that are permitted in town. I mean, there's a certain number of chickens with no roosters that are permitted in town. But as far as other farm animals, you're buying your property on the wrong side of the city line.
Huh? Gee.
sometime we might have to talk about revisiting our animal ordinances, because the idea that you can only have chickens and no roosters, and yet we have dogs that bark all night long, why can't we have a rooster?
We
But-
just revisited that 2.5 years ago.
I've only been here 2 years, so. There you go. Anyway, moving on. Any other public?
Marcia
Marcia
Carey.
Carey.
Hi.
Did you
I
want,
don't know, we asked, or Brett asked, Councilman asked for us to be on the agenda this time, and we're not on there.
Yes, you
But
are.
you're
Are we
there,
on there
you're
now?
written on.
I'm
We
not-
added you.
Who
on.
Yes, you are.
So, all right, go ahead.
You're official. Go ahead, Carrie.
I don't need to be on there. Mine was just the byway stuff, and I'm assuming that's all taken care of. I'll go check later in the week, and if I have concerns, I'll come see y'all.
Not yet, but it's getting there.
Yeah, it was reported to me by the citizens of the city that there was stuff going on in the park.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, go ahead, Terry.
Pardon me for not standing up. At my age, it gets hard up and down, so I'm not going to. Anyway, I'm here to update you guys on what I found out based on our conversation at the last council meeting, when it was suggested that I call and talk with Thane Bush, who is within a county. And pretty basic information I got back from him. First thing he said to me was that he by all means is not an attorney and does not know the laws on who's responsible for what side of the road if a county road adjoins city property, which in the case of Sanford Road, it's county maintained, but it's adjacent to the city. And he did say he'd get with the county attorney to see if they could find out what the rules are on responsibility. And what we're referring to, for those of you who weren't here 2 weeks ago, is the drain problem that we've been having in our house for the past 23 years. And until Mr. Leckman told us that the city wasn't responsible for that, all these times we were coming out here, nobody ever knew that, or else they would have been telling us to look into it ahead of time, which we obviously would have done 20 years ago. But the point is, I'm getting at, Mr. Bush said that he would get with Mike Bone, he would get with Ellen Van Meter, with the,
Township people,
who,
East Township.
I know,
Wilmington.
Wilmington, I can't remember that for some reason, but
Yeah.
Wilmington Township, and that those three parties would meet together at our house and look at the situation and see what can be done. And maybe they'll have more information on who can dig out what. And I mentioned to him that I saw a county truck go by last week, and then I saw a county truck go by today down Sanford Road. And I said, I haven't seen a county truck down this way forever. And I said, were they out checking on the road? And he said, well, that was me today. And I said, well, I wish you would have stopped and we could have discussed this a little, just for a few minutes. But he said he had some other kind of meeting earlier down here, something to do with Dragoon Creek. I don't remember what he said to you.
No.
But and he had to get back to Alma, so that's one of the reasons he stopped. The second reason he didn't stop was because he didn't see anybody out there, and that doesn't surprise me because we're always various parts of the yard back there doing things. But anyway, The only thing he didn't tell me, and maybe Mike has information, I don't know, but the only thing he didn't tell me was when the three of them were gonna meet at our place and see what's going on. Did he say anything to you about when that might?
We
take
don't have a
place?
date. I spoke with Thane today, actually, and we talked about it a little bit. We don't have a set date or time. I haven't talked with Elvin. He said that he has talked with Elvin, with the township a little bit. I don't know what that entailed. We didn't get into that. My main concern was meeting with him, to get some ideas for
Right.
one,
Right,
and talk about some potential for utilizing their resources. The township does have some equipment, motor grader operator. He's been doing a really good job lately around. The county's stuff's a little bit bigger, a little bit newer, and may be able to do a little bit better of a job of what we may want to do. And I may feel a little more comfortable with that, where our gas line is and the operator and the equipment, if we so choose to go that route. I think we need to look at options. Definitely want to talk to you guys, what you think. I don't know the answer. We spoke about that before. The answer that I thought would worked for a while until we get rains like we had. And
wash
I
it
mean,
away.
literally, I went out and went south after that last one came through that night. Tried to follow that storm towards Harveyville, thinking we could see something, and couldn't. I mean, it was rain wrapped everything, and the lightning was plentiful, but the highways were flooded. I mean, at that point, I mean, even the greater ditches on the highways couldn't handle the water. So, I mean, it's no surprise there that happened, and if it blew across the road again. But now,
I don't know if you guys have you guys been by Sanford Road within the last 2 weeks since that rain? Could you see, because Thane said today that it was very obvious to him, he could see where the rocks were building up on the west side of Sanford Road, which is what I would consider the county's ditch. But he could clearly see all the way up that road where rocks were building up from being washed down and causing the water to cross the road, which I think we talked about that 2 weeks ago. And the water was crossing the road, and that's what was causing problems at our house, mainly because we don't have ditches that are dug down to Dragoon Creek anymore like they used to be. And he could clearly see that, and he said, we'll figure something out. But my basic purpose for being here tonight was to upgrade you guys on that, and that's about all I know. Do you have anything else you want to add?
no, we have been in contact, and he has been in contact with me. We plan to meet, get an idea, and definitely want your guys' input. And then we'll, of course, bring it back to the council to decide. I mean, if it's going to be something that we have to do or come out of pocket for, of course, they would have to approve it, get their blessing, get your blessing, and try something.
Sure, I know. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I mean, the ongoing problem is very frustrating. And this one, I mean, that was a bad ring. And I know it's probably happened with lesser severity in the past.
Well,
which
it's like
is
you and I,
acceptable as well,
just
but,
like when you came to our house and you and I talked and you and I agreed, okay, let's go ahead and make this little berm here. Let's go ahead and divert the water, which, like you said, worked until the first rain, and it kind of melted that berm away, but the curb was still there, and that lasted until the heaviest rain we
Well,
had.
yeah, that was just.
But even so, even though that diverted the water, it created more problems for the city because it washed down Fifth Street and diverted off of Cedar and went on down to Main and circled down Main, and you guys are out with front end loaders digging the dirt and rock out of the way. So it
That's
created
yeah.
another monster is what it did.
That's an ongoing problem in a lot of areas, though. Until we surround the entire town with pavement, curb, and gutter, that'll always be.
There you go. I think I suggested that to Justin, and he just kind of laughed. We're not going to pave Sanford Road.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, well, I'll also keep in touch as I get more information. I'll be back.
I've got
And,
your numbers, so.
Yeah,
soon as
give
I
me a
get
call.
something
I'd like for you guys to let us know.
Mhm.
And then I'll talk to you privately outside of this, because there's something I want to tell you that nobody needs to know. How about that? Okay.
All right.
You need to know, because I don't want you to call me and I'm over in Europe. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay, all right. Or I might be at her house and then I'd be in trouble. All right.
Big
All right. Okay, that's all I've got. You got anything for us? Anybody? Nobody? Okay, all right. Let's go into somebody else can have our chairs. All right. All right, thank you, guys.
I'll be in
You
touch,
need
Terry.
help,
Thank you.
Yeah, just about. You see me about to fall?
He's twice today.
Just seems to kick you a little hard.
There you go. All right. Thanks, guys.
And I know why it falls.
Just help.
kick him when he's down.
Anyone else?
I'm 345 Lakeshore, dock permit, Mark Kuzma.
You are on the agenda.
You're on the agenda. so-
Yeah,
Which
so
he's down there ways.
we can get to it. I'm here to answer any questions. you have.
Time to another.
Oh, yeah, I did. Someone was coming, so it's from the last meeting.
Do we want to address him now, whether it's from the last meeting or have him sit through everything? 'Cause otherwise, he has to sit through all of this. All right.
You had a permit. Do we have that?
Yeah, so it's in your guys' packet.
So Mark Kuzma, correct?
And you guys had just tabled it because you said you wanted to go out and take a peek at it.
I
This is
couldn't
the
find it.
patio.
I did try to
Okay.
find it and I couldn't find it.
And you wanted to know how far back, which it was 10 feet from the shoreline. And
Where this all started is our shoreline was washing away. I mean, it kept creeping up the shoreline towards the house, away from the lake. It just was washing away. And we have metal grates up there along the shoreline that have holes in them. You know, the holes are purposely put in there. And over time, what we're thinking is that when the lake, when they cap the overflow
The
inlet,
drawdown structure, they used to be able to draw the level down.
and raise the lake up, level up, and then with years and years of, we're on the east side, and southwest winds coming in, and the waves that had kept washing the bank away. I mean, it was caving in. Our neighbors to the south, McNellis, they haven't done anything with theirs, and they've probably got 4 foot of just holes along the grade. I mean, along the bank, the shoreline there. So we had some gravel brought in, actually, and put some metal siding in front or behind the metal grates, and then gravel put in behind, so it would quit washing away. So where we decided while we were working on this is to try to extend a little lean-to that we have there to the east just a little ways, just enlarge that a little bit. So not a big project. I've got on the picture there that it being kind of a covered deck. What I'm really probably looking to do is more of a pergola type post and then some 2x4s on top of it, just to block a little bit of the sun. It's not going to be 20 foot tall. It's not going to obstruct anybody's views or anything. So just extend that where it says that covered deck on there towards the house just a little bit. That's all we're looking at doing. Again, we fixed the shoreline issue. That was a major issue. So, anybody have any questions or comments or concerns on this?
What is the footage from the end of this to the end of this? How many feet is that?
Oh,
Is that
Brett,
over the
I don't
20
know
or 24?
exactly. I really don't know. Basically, it's just, all I can really tell you is the dotted line, the new structure is probably gonna add about 6 foot past to the east. The existing structure, I don't have measurements on it, but I'll be honest with you, I don't. I probably should, but
I think that's part of the reason why we tabled it, is because we wanted the measurements of this. You weren't told that?
no, I wasn't here last meeting. I just
I don't think
didn't
you
realize
guys
it was
said
coming.
that.
No, we didn't have measurements. I think there was concern about any excavation into the hill. or
Right.
Digging.
As well as that as well. But I thought that we were concerned about, because if the dock size is it an oversized dock or is it So
This isn't
the
going to
width
be
out,
attached to the dock.
But this
correct?
is separate structure.
Yeah.
So we.
except by this, it looks like that a third of it's going over top of the existing dock, making it
That's-
part of the.
That's the existing portion, which is going to be removed, and you wanted to move it to the east, what I understand, correct? So it would be separate, and this would be a separate structure on city property. It's like a little sitting area, patio,
And
pergola, whatever you want to call it, which would be subject to a yearly
And
annual fee.
tell me, where's the ordinance or whatever, how far from the shoreline back to my property? 5 feet? 10 feet?
That I don't believe is spelled out. That's been approached on a case-by-case basis, as long
I know
as.
it's different.
Yeah, now, what I think Brett's concern is if this were still to be attached to your dock moving back to the east, then that's gonna create a larger dock, because that would be
That's
considered.
one.
Right, now, if this piece is going to be removed from the edge of your dock where it's been for years and years, and then you're going to build a separate structure back away from the docks, the way I understood it, Mark, but, which won't interfere with it being more of an oversized dock. It would be another structure, which I talked with Brian when I met with him a month ago or whatever it was, or a month and a half ago. But I wasn't at the last meeting either,
Right.
so.
Does that answer your question, Brett?
So is, Brett, the issue is adding on to the oversized dock to make it bigger or not? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, if it was going to be bigger than what the dock was, because I was looking at it as this was going to be part of this, then that was gonna be a concern to me. My other concern is if we, the city of Eskridge, want to be allowing decks along docks along the shoreline,
Onto the shoreline.
onto the shoreline by the water, I guess is what it is. Does anybody have an opinion on that?
I'm confused at what we have here. This box right here, is this a deck? This right here?
That's kind of where we were
That's
at.
And
what
is that gonna be
existing.
removed?
This is gonna be removed and he's not gonna put it. So here's the beginning of the dock, right by that, on the shoreline is where he wants to put a deck. And it'll be not a roof, but like a pergola.
Like behind the lodge?
Yes, probably something similar to that. But my question is, are we gonna be allowing that?
Don't we already?
I don't
Isn't the whole
see
shoreline
many.
littered with people's sheds?
There's a lot of.
They're
things,
littered with
sheds.
Docks, but not decks. So do we want to, I'm just asking the
There's
question.
quite
Have a
few.
column for decks.
There's
in
a
our-
lot that they pay for, which this would be subject to an annual fee. It would be a separate structure, just like when people build their little toy sheds or whatever down by their docks. I think Apple Hands was one, because they're burnt here 2 or 3 4th of Julys ago, and they rebuilt them.
Well, we have our own column, so the letters I send out every year, there is a column for decks. There's a column for regular decks, oversized decks, docks, oversized
How
docks.
far from the
and
water's
then
edge
other
is this
structures.
deck?
How far from the water?
From the water's edge, is it?
Currently, or the
The new one?
Well, in order to, you would either access it from I haven't built it yet, so I'm not really exactly sure, coming from the hip to the west, or from the south, or from the dock, it'd be right at the shoreline, stepping up onto that dock, or that structure. See what I'm saying?
Oh, I was with the understanding you're putting it 10 feet beyond the shoreline, or 10 feet
Well,
away from the dock.
That's the length of it.
Oh, I thought you were gonna begin 10 feet away. That's where you're gonna stop, is 10 feet away.
No, you can kind of, I guess you can see the kind of penciled in there, so. And another thing is we're planning on trying to divert some of that runoff through there by putting a berm behind to the east side of that.
I'm guessing north is not up on this map then.
North would be towards
Says
that shoreline, that line of shoreline.
So north is to the right.
If you look at it right here, this is north, this is east, this is west, this is south.
So I guess I'm confused too. Is it still going to be attached to your dock?
No,
So it's not gonna be attached, but it's gonna be right there on it.
yeah, it'll be right there up to it.
It's gonna be all that attached. Do you wanna see an aerial? I actually found it. It's clear. of
Go
What's
for it.
there?
Show it to
Sure.
you guys. You're good. I gotta get this.
Oh, yeah, that's what I used to.
I believe this is right. Yeah, that's McMillan's there. This is his
That
property.
gives
That
it
is
a
the
view.
dock. This is the little thing that is on the dock now.
What's this white? It's right in here.
It's just gravel.
So you're gonna build this on top of the gravel there that I'm looking at? or-
Was that water? Or not, is that what that is?
Is there water behind the current one? Is there? No. No, there's no. That's,
Well, is that Google Maps?
yeah, it's
How
just
old is it?
dark right there. Well, yeah, no, it's fairly,
It's an oversized dog.
I'm with you, yeah. No,
It is,
that's
it's
all
an
land there.
oversized.
Okay,
That's
I thought
shoreline.
so from last time.
It is.
My concern is, are we letting people put decks right here that are, and then what is that construction going to do later to the shoreline? We don't know what we're doing with the shoreline. We are to restrict things.
Well, my first, I'm sorry, I wasn't at last meeting, so this is all new to me right here. My first thought is you already have an oversized dock, and granted, there's no nail connecting A to B, but this is going to appear to anybody else that you're just adding to your dock with a large deck. And what we as a council have been trying to do is to eliminate the oversized docks as it is. So this would give the appearance of not only allowing the oversized dock, which that's not in question at all anyway, but not just allowing it, letting you add on to it. That's just where I'm seeing from what I'm looking at right now. I don't know how these guys feel. Like I said, I wasn't here last week and I haven't been briefed on any of this. So.
That's kind of where we were at, was that it's already oversized, and to me, that's what it looked like, because they were adding on to it, which we don't do.
And granted, it's not connected to it, but I'm not seeing a difference.
Were you under the impression that you would be paying an additional fee for a structure on city property?
Can't handle it.
Okay, no, because that's what I brought up when it was first presented to me by Brian, who was gonna build it. That would be, yes, it's gonna be separate, so, but yeah, that's the way I understood it.
Is the council satisfied with the information that they've got? Do you wish to make a decision at this time? Or you want to,
I don't think I can make a decision yet. I want to stew on this for a little while. And I'm sorry that I wasn't here last week or last meeting
I
to,
wouldn't either, so.
well, I think I want to think about this one for a little while, and I do appreciate what you've done to protect the shoreline. I mean, of course, we want to protect that as much as possible, and it looks like you've taken good measures for that, at least from what I've heard.
Yeah, it's quite costly, to be honest with you.
I hope you understand my perspective on this too, is I don't want it to look like we're rewarding an oversized dock with allowing it to grow. I mean, ideally, this is not anything that would ever happen. I would like to see everybody go out there and make all their docks come into compliance. Everybody has two docks, get rid of one, but that's just not gonna happen that way. And I know that. I just have a really hard time rewarding a big dock with even making it bigger. But, I will keep an open mind and I'll think about it.
Alternative, if we decided not to do that and you're not gonna approve it, do I need to have a permit if I decide on that existing dock along the shoreline? I put up some 6x6 posts coming out 10 feet towards the end of the dock and putting a pergola there. I mean, it's on top of the existing dock.
What are our
And it's a
guidelines for
grandfather
adding
dock
to
in.
an oversized dock?
I didn't think that we allowed to add the
I
oversized
thought
docks. but
if you had an
And
oversized,
the dimensions of the dock.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if you got the 2 docks for one structure, that's when you kind of, the hammer falls.
Yeah, the 2 docks, the oversized, it would be iffy.
You're just putting a building up like a,
Canopy over the top of the.
Something which
existing
you've allowed
dock. Is that
covers,
what-
boat
is that what you're
covers,
talking
stuff
about?
like
Yeah,
that.
there's one over on the northeast cove that, holy crap, that thing, I swear it's twice the size of my dock. You know,
Mhm.
So at that
they've got a
point,
pergola on it.
so at that point, you're saying you're just gonna take part of the existing dock and putting a cover over the top of it.
Over about 10 feet
Yeah.
of it. I mean, from the east to the west.
For shade. Because you want some shade.
Absolutely. Yeah, I wish I had some shade trees.
So it would be over top of the already oversized dock.
The existing structure dock. I mean, we're not increasing, the only thing we would be increasing would be going up
Airspace.
a little bit. It wouldn't be length by width. That would stay all the same.
I believe recently, Frank Hummer had something like that approved.
Well,
Are
Scott,
you-
God, if Frank can get it.
are you
it's
by-
down for me.
I was gonna say, from the look of that map, it seems as though you're over by McGivern. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
north of me.
Let's not go there.
Well, Frank was my other comparison because it looked like from there and.
You're in the right area now.
Yes.
Yeah, McGivern's, Hummers, whoever they are, McNellis and us. So I'm like 3, 4 north.
So basically, he's wanting to do, just a cover on an existing structure.
Potentially, I mean, he'd still like to do what he presented,
I
but
think you
he's
still have
just
to have-
asking an opinion on what your thoughts
Yeah.
would be as an alternative. So that's all he's
You have to
asking.
have a permit to do it, but you're just.
Yes, there would still be a permit.
If somebody wants.
But if it was allowed, there'd be no added fee for adding the pergola. It'd be the straight dock fee, right?
An oversized fee, yes.
other than the,
What's the money pay?
application.
Correct.
Unless you want to help pay for some of the gravel and labor
Okay, right now, my first thought on that second idea is I just want to know if that's something that we allow is to add to an existing oversized structure, because I don't know the answer to that. And if we do, then, well, see what the answer is.
So where are we at?
Table,
Tabled,
Till the next meeting.
Okay,
officially move the table.
okay.
I would love to meet with you. I tried to find your place earlier and didn't find it, but now that I know.
You know, we're hungry.
Give him your phone number,
So-
Brett.
The
Lost his
alleged
phone like
number.
months ago.
Funny guy. Okay. Yes, because I want to see the area because I can, yeah.
Thank you.
all right, this issue is tabled.
Thanks for coming in.
You bet.
Department reports.
Moving right along.
Mike Bone.
So, do you guys really want to hear all this now?
Well,
I want your highlighted version.
Okay, utilities, I had some stuff.
will do.
It's all functioning. We still got some things up in the air. NPL's been backed up. We still have a leak at 56 and Road M. Hopefully, first part of next week, we'll have them on site. We have an issue with SNA fiber and copper telephone down there. We're gonna have to be digging around. They got their locates in, and we've talked about it a little bit, but we're not sure how we're gonna do it, but we're gonna do it. Still working with Hawkins Chemical at the water plant, finding a product that will work. The first thing that we tried did not work. Everything looked absolutely perfect in jar tests, everything, clarifiers, everything was amazing. Our finish numbers were not what they should be. They weren't out of compliance. They weren't horrible, but I don't know. It's beyond me. Tons and tons of lab tests and hours out there. We're back on the Brentag chemical right now, running what we had. Hawkins is talking to their chemist, which I've been talking to their chemist. They're going back to their head chemist that actually makes these polymers and see what they can figure out for us. Hopefully we'll have a secondary feed by next week as well to help combat our organics issue at the lake. Yeah, there you go. Only other thing I had, water plant. We've had some issues with the lightning. Our high service VFDs have been over voltage 2 or 3 times, which you have to manually reset, I believe, for taking direct lightning strikes. I know we took at least one direct lightning strike. It smoked LWID sewer control, like literally black, charred, smoked. Battery backup in the lab fried. Our CL17 chlorine analyzer is not acting right. Hawks due out for service anyway. We pay yearly maintenance on that. I'm not worried about that. AC compressor fried, was pulling high amps. Didn't completely fry it, but literally something with the motor and the compressor did fix that. It's about $600-700 for the service pack. Free on everything. New is $1,200-1,400. Like there was something else too. Tower telemetry. Our tower telemetry went down. We replaced, but we had a backup, and we're actually going to replace that with a Sonic Eye. We ordered another backup. We're going to switch to a Sonic Eye, which basically looks down from the top of the tower. It looks at the water level and looks at the bottom of the tower all at once with an ultrasonic thing somehow, which is more accurate than the pressure transducer we're using now. Question, do you want me to inquire about insurance on this? This all wasn't the same day, but it's all been throughout this deal. I believe our deductible is at least $1,000. This stuff was obviously together more than $1,000. Not sure they would entertain it. There's always the possibility it would increase our premiums as well. So that was my question to you on that.
Is Diane our agent?
These are lightning related instances.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I think you should talk to Diane about it and then also inquire if that makes a difference on our premium. She'll tell you.
I mean, it's casual, it shouldn't. It's not like you guys can make more lightning.
Right. You know how insurance companies work though. You hit 5 deer, they seem to figure out how to creep them up anyway, even though they're the confidence points.
Nobody hates insurance companies more than me.
This is my aunt we're talking about too.
She's a very.
If
No, she's good.
it does affect our premiums, I wonder if it wouldn't benefit us to wait until the spring.
Well,
You can't.
we won't
Well,
be
you
able
can't
to do
claim
that at this point. I mean, we're towards the end of all this happening. I hope. I just found the battery back up. Friday, maybe. So yeah, I mean, it would have to. I mean, I can inquire about it if you guys want to. At first, I wasn't going to because it was just kind of an isolated incident here and there. I know back in the day, I mean, tower telemetry, there were years that maybe 2, 3, 4 times in a year, the tower would take a direct strike and blow the telemetry out. I don't think we took a direct hit because our fire repeater antenna's up there too, and it has actually blown that antenna off the tower before. No direct hit there, but I think it's all related. So I can inquire about it if you want.
I've been wanting to point out to you, Mike, that whatever you're doing with the water seems to be working. Because I remember in early spring when it was tasting like dirt again, and we didn't think we would see that with all the water.
It's still not great though. I'm not
It's
happy with
nothing
it.
like it was last year.
Well, no.
It's nothing like it was in spring of this year
not to
when
that
it was the wet
state,
season.
but No,
We didn't expect that.
we're still fighting organics, which our organic carbon numbers are coming back great as far as our organic carbon removal right now. Like nothing makes sense at that point. Like we have run so many tests. Hawkins chemist has been out running tests. Nothing makes sense. Like welcome to Eskridge is what I told this new chemical company because they're like, well, this should work. Everything looks fine. I don't know why it's not working. Who knows?
Well, I've been away for a little while. What's the latest on the grant? Where are we on that with the sewer project?
Rosemary emailed me today and she said she should have a draft hopefully by next week that we can look over. But as far as that, she's still putting everything together and that will be, what is the name of that? I don't even remember.
We're not gonna get the draft 2 days in advance? Oh, you weren't here then?
Yeah. This is pretty cut and dry of what it was last year, only we added a whole bunch more stuff this year about all the stuff that you guys have done and purchased and
Right.
upgrading our things, and
Yeah.
our community support numbers will hopefully go way up, which will, God forbid, put us in the pay zone by a mile this year. So we'll see. The other things I had were stuff that have been brought up in the past. The flagpole sleeves are set at the Veterans Memorial. Believe it or not, there is a stinking rock ledge in the park too. We dug 6 different holes to get 3. If it was one flagpole, no big deal. We could have put it somewhere, fudged it, made it fine. Where you've got 3 flagpoles and they're symmetrical, 2 of them are the same size on each end. It's a little tough. Couldn't get through it. Like some of it couldn't get through it. So what's down there now is where we could get, and we're going to grade to it rather than just having the sleeves in the ground. I went down today. I set 24-inch square. Basically forms on it. I poured concrete around those. The sleeves, brought them all to grade, and we're going to grade up to 5 poles and do dirt work around there. That's not going to be done by the 14th. We're going to pull those tomorrow. We're going to attempt to set the flag poles tomorrow. Hopefully we can get the one pulled and reset. We've got a method for that. Hopefully it works. You asked me to look at the playground toy down there, the spinning green thing. It seems like it has a buffer on it, like, so it's not just a bearing that's wide open so you can go crazy. Like, I think it'd be more fun, but it's like the bearing has a buffer. Like
It seems to have slowed though, I think.
Really?
Unless you're way heavy, it's, cause we had to put like 3 kids on to spin it last
I have no
week.
idea. It's very hard. There's no grease.
I did
there's
ask
no nothing.
Carrie to email the seller and see
Okay.
if there was some kind of fix for this. Like, it's gotta be a common problem if that's the case.
At the last meeting, Marcia was asking about the bathrooms and all this stuff. I had to replace the toilet. I pressure washed. I bug sprayed the bathrooms right after I pressure washed. A lot of creepy crawlies in there. We'll have to do a little bit more cleaning on that. Have paper products and stuff down there. No issues. We'll have them unlocked probably the night before. Electricity.
You can unlock it the day of. Really?
That's Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe. Or I'll give somebody a key.
Yeah.
But I'll be in.
We don't have to really unlock it.
Probably a good idea. Park electrical.
Outside?
There is a plug over by the tennis courts, which are they putting the tent on them now, on the tennis courts?
No, they're putting it on the skating rink.
They put in a locate for the tennis courts. That's where they put in the one call, was for the tennis court and 10 feet outside the tennis court. Wiser Tent Service,
Yeah, that's wrong. It's not where it's
where I
going.
marked it, so. Anyway,
Yeah.
well, if there's a malfunction that might need to be addressed, so.
Yeah.
So you don't need any power at the tennis court?
Insane. No, because everything's supposed to be around the bandstand.
Well, that's good, because that's really a
Skating
nightmare over
rink.
there in that little box where the lights
and
and stuff were.
bathroom, like that little area right there was supposed to be where the event was contained pretty
I
much.
meant to print off this picture.
But I'll have them contact them and tell them,
Yeah, I need to get their locator right, which there's nothing, I mean, there's a water
because
line across
it's
there.
around 10, like a 60 by 60 or something that fits over top of the skating rink. So like that would not look.
No, I didn't know how they were gonna do that
I
with
wondered
the
that too, like,
fence
with the
around the
fence,
tennis
yeah.
court either, but anyway. Yeah, might just make sure the tent company's not gonna attempt to do that on the tennis court. That'd be fun to watch. The electrical's not working in the bandstand either. I went to the disconnect on the pole. One leg's working, which is a leg that's feeding the bathroom. I say leg, you've got 110 poles, makes 220. The leg that goes to the bandstand obviously is not working because I have no juice over there. I've got juice at the fuses. The lugs are rusted, corroded. I couldn't get anything undone, tightened, redone. They built a nice heavy metal welded box around the disconnect that was put on when all the conduits were put into this disconnect. It was a friggin' nightmare. I don't know why you couldn't just lock the disconnect. Whoever did that. I'm gonna attempt something to get that one plug. There's one plug in the bandstand. So I'll try to switch to another side, something that looks like wires are actually burnt going into a conduit. I don't know which conduit or where that's going. And hopefully keep the lights on in the bathrooms too at the end. Hopefully tomorrow, if not tomorrow with the flagpole stuff, Wednesday, I will get that. I was going to put a light back up. The light that we had in the bandstand's been knocked down or whatever too. And it was on basically all the time, LED lights. I was thinking about just putting a fixture up there with LED lights in it, and basically it will be on all the time for now. Does anybody have an issue with that? Cheap fix? Okay. Yay. Oh, this thing. Jesus, I was just gonna, you have it in there. Public access points at the lake. There's a little map, a whole bunch of little pink lines on it. Review, please. And my
I was
note up here.
reviewing them.
Huh?
I was reviewing them.
Good. There are other areas. My note on the front explains that. I don't know that you really want to address that tonight, but you have a number, you have a basic, I mean, with the road names, I think you could probably find them, the house numbers. These house numbers are off that county site, so they are current. If you wanted to go look at any of them or all of them.
There's not any surprising structures in any of these. Are there?
I don't know.
When did that get built? That kind of thing.
Oh, probably. You'll probably be surprised with some of them. I mean, not actual
Oh, yeah.
structures, probably some retaining walls and whatnots like that, maybe. But been there a long time, probably. Nothing recent that I know of. The most recent one you had removed.
The one that's on that commercial?
So are you saying that you foresee people maybe complaining about people venturing over into their?
The only reason I said that is I don't, I mean, believe me, I'm not a lawyer. Believe it or not, but I don't want the city to condone a potential trespass issue by putting up signs, and then people venture out into private property thinking, well, this said whatever. Now, we talked in the past about calling them fire access, do not block, don't park your campers there. Don't, build a big wall or a retaining wall that couldn't be driven over, something like that, as far as a fire access to get in behind.
What would you call our lake access? Is that the city's private property? So essentially, everybody that lives there is going on private property.
We're allowing it, but I'm talking private property owned by others. It'd be like, I walk down the street and I just decide to go into your backyard and set up a barbecue grill and cook in your backyard. That I would be trespassing. Now, if somebody
Depends on what
does
you're cooking.
something, well, you may invite me in. But now, if someone were to do something on our property that we deemed illegal or destructive or something like that, then we would inform them legally that they are not allowed to be there anymore. And if they were to trespass on our private property, we could have them prosecuted for criminal trespass. Yes, we have rights to our property as well, but we usually view our property as public property. I mean, that's what it's there for. It's a park. And then some of the access, and I don't know, on this Orca website, I mean, you can click on the lake and boom, it comes up, gives you acreage, it's city property. Now, these access points, they don't come up as anything. Now, I'm not sure those are considered city property or if they're that public property right-of-way type of thing that like our platted streets. and
It
stuff
probably
are.
doesn't, I mean, that's just a mapping.
Right.
issue.
I
mean,
didn't
there's
know
no
how it was
character-
platted out there. So.
Yeah, there's no characteristic difference between those two, but yeah, and it's probably, if you would go to the county's mapping, it's just a mess. I've done it before, so you know that, so.
And these are fairly accurate as far as the lines. They're not going to be dead on. Yeah, if you see someone's house is, split down, a third of their house, no, I don't think that's accurate. That's just where the lines are off on the GPS overlay. But No, I just didn't want to get into whether, okay, we want to put in, whatever you guys wanted on the signs, fish or whatever, hey, public access, then where do you define, okay, now I can go out and be walking the
Well, when
shore?
I've looked at those maps before, and this isn't like all of the places out there, but a majority of them, like we own the property, almost their entire backyards.
Mhm.
So when people make it past somebody's house, a few feet past it, it's pretty much open game.
It's not though everywhere. I see what you're saying. I don't
But
disagree
in
with
most
you.
cases, it is. Because most of their backyards is our property.
And you can do what you want. I was just giving you my opinion. I don't want you to.
Yeah,
open
my
a
own
can of
concern
worms.
of mine
So,
also.
Yeah.
And I think what the resolution may be is that if you're serious about marking up an area for access, go to the trouble of actually maybe surveying that property so you could delineate those lines with some accuracy, or at least have the ability to do that at some point in time, so that if there ever is a dispute, nobody's
Are you
battling.
wanting to have multiple accesses, or just like 4 or 5 or 6 really good accesses to the shore?
I want some really good accesses, but also, I mean, we want everybody to be able to go along our shoreline. I mean, we don't want anybody to be deterred from it just because there's a house in front of the land that's along the lake. I mean, I don't think we're deterring people from going around it, are we? Just because there's a house there?
Is there a way that we could put a map somewhere and maybe annotate on the sign, public access C map or something? Help me out here, Todd, I'm trying to get at this.
Then you'd have to have all these people smart enough to read that map.
Well,
You seen Society lately?
I mean,
Touche, right?
I mean, I'm still gonna go with the fact that there's no replacement for establishing the boundary lines in some solid fashion by a survey, and then it doesn't have to be complicated, it just has to be so you can find those locations, draw the lines, and kind of keep them that way. Whether it be,
There's 23 that I identified in here.
And I think a good idea would be to start with what we think are the best 5 or 7 places, and then get them going and open, or get them available by site to people to know, and then work on the rest from that point.
Have you had
Instead
a lot
of
of public
everything at
interest
once.
in this, or is it just the fact that people just don't know that it's a possibility and you think that it might?
Well, I've just always heard people talk about how they can't get around the lake to fish on the shoreline because it's
Feels
people's
like it's
private
blocked
property
off.
and and I don't think they really realize that that is not individuals' private property. That's the city's property, and you're more than welcome to follow the access, not down people's yards, but the access down to the area and spread out to whatever fishing point you have that has whatever pool in there that you're fishing for. I'm not a fisherman, so I don't know. I may be not sounding educated on the fishing at this point, but I mean, there's different spots where there's fishing better than others, and I mean, around the swimming area is not the greatest, but some of those deep coves that we have property on, those are great fishing spots for people.
Do I dare ask why?
No,
Okay.
What'd you ask?
if we owned a wood chipper. Because if we had a mulch trail from the sign to the water,
You could put a post in, and like a certain color of post delineates what's a public access, and have that and then it's just a simple look for this color. And if they
Right,
stay
it's-
between the posts and follow it down, I mean, obviously not post
yeah,
the
but
whole way.
if that was my property, my property, just like what's on the other side of the sidewalk is my property that I have to mow. I don't want city to come in and put a bunch of posts in that property that I have to mow.
Right. And I don't
Into that,
mean,
too. I mean, these people, yeah, it's their backyards. They're maintaining their backyards too.
And-
Now, just to chew this over, not to interrupt you, sorry.
no, you're fine.
if you're wanting to do this as a sole purpose to get people down there, I think there's gonna have to be a lot more planning that has to be done and probably a lot more research. Now, if you want to do this to keep them from being obstructed, if you feel that's an issue on areas, I think the fire access points would be much easier because that's not going to be, you're not inviting the public. It's going to be like, look, you guys are actually declaring these fire access, which I think could be done, possibly. You could probably fill us in on that eventually. And then basically be like blocking a fire lane, which would give us any right to do whatever we had to do to move whatever is parked there if we had to get around behind a structure.
I think that would be much more discouraging for somebody to build a nice little fire pit on it too.
Right. Now, if you get into this surveying and stuff like this to avoid a potential trespass issue on someone's private property in an area, surveys are costly. And that's something you probably want to plan ahead at. And Stephanie,
Could
if
we
this
have
is
the
gonna-
property adjoining property owners help pay for that?
Probably not if we want the information.
Or we could raise the dock fees to appropriately
Well,
get the
That's
money to pay
something
for
you
it.
can do whatever you want on stuff like that. I mean, that would have to be addressed, in the budget and all that stuff as well. Sorry if I'm going to hit you on this. I know we talked about it earlier. You're at about 12% of your remaining expense budget authority for the lake for the year, which amounts to about $14,482, as her report says right now, which is another thing I think I had jotted down. You might want to consider how many hours you want your new lake officer to be
Yeah.
working, because we're just starting September.
And we still have Dave's checks.
And any unforeseens or any other stuff we've
I
got.
thought we had
going on.
said like 10 hours a week, like no more than that.
Nothing was
No.
delineated on her time.
No, I went back, listened to the recording, and you guys had said at 90 days you'll do a review. And I even asked, what about like how many hours do you want her to work a week? And it was said she's just part-time. We're not
Did
going
we
to
say
put.
that in the interview? Where am I remembering that we said that?
It was
I-
whole
I
thing.
mean, I can
Hours
send you the
more.
clip of the recording because I even asked how many hours.
She had 50 the last 2
No.
weeks.
But I'm asking, do you think 10 hours is a comfortable level to keep her at, or less?
If you want to keep her
more?
doing something, I think that would be way more affordable than where you're going right now.
Hmm.
Because you're going to be completely out of budget
We've been
authority.
paying
If you
her
run out of
40
budget
hours?
authority, we're not going to be able
We've
to
been
mow
paying her 40?
anymore.
No. But she's done like 25 and 25, which is still part-time. But yeah.
Is she doing city stuff too?
Mm-mm.
She want to? Okay. I don't want to get derailed. Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, not a problem. But this was mainly just so you actually have something. I know I've been promising this for a long time, but there's some pictures, there's some actual points that are mapped out that you could look at, and then
Something that we can work with.
Okay, so then we should probably decide how many hours we exactly want to be working. Instead of leaving it in limbo and her working 25, 20.
I do want to address that, but I don't think this is the part of the meeting that we need to talk about that, is it?
you already got it on the agenda. I think you could do it in there as well.
Where's the-
Executive session.
Oh,
Personnel's already on
Gotcha.
there, so I believe it's for something else.
On the very, very bottom.
You can address that there as
All
well.
right, moving right along, Stephanie.
Are you guys done?
Okay, so you guys have a financial report. You have a letter from Kay updating you on what she has been doing. And then I have talked to Jenny Howe. She emailed me for the dog clinic. She's thinking maybe the 21st of September, but she can't quite confirm that yet. So that's still kind of in limbo. So that's all I have. Oh, sorry. And yes, you guys have I was just seeing that. You guys have a letter from Mona about her property. She stopped in today and just, if you guys want to read that, she wants you to know she is working on it. She just kind of has, some health concerns. Just wants you to take that into
It looks to me like
consideration.
she saved us a bunch of time, because if she came in here begging and pleading for extra time, we probably would have granted her that anyway, as long as we see progress, so.
Yeah.
I'm happy with the letter. What do you guys think?
I actually saw her down there moving a bunch of brush and truckloads of stuff with Dawn today. So I did see her actually in progress.
Well, there's a lot of people, we ask them to clean up and they don't. So, we at least have that.
I mean, in 9 months, I'm still not gonna entertain giving her more time, but.
Well, I don't want this to turn into another scenario that we've already dealt with once before where,
And what is that scenario at? In limbo still?
I don't think we've closed the door on that case, have we?
I don't think so either.
I think he was sent another letter.
He was sent another letter?
I
I know we cleaned it up a lot yesterday.
did he? I need to look again.
Once again,
Yeah.
right before the meeting.
Because I think you guys had directed me to like 2 meetings ago, maybe. But I'll look for sure in my letters and see.
Mona called me and I asked her to, either stop by at a meeting or write a letter. And I think she did. And she was very earnest in saying that she was going to, and I told her that she really had to move some of that equipment out of there. And she was telling me what she wanted to do with each piece of equipment, but that's been going on for a long time. So hopefully she'll just go ahead and haul them off. So we can look at her, I can look at her. I'll call her every week.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Let's hurry up and get over purchase request when Mike's gone.
Review purchase request and work orders.
None.
Mike? Second call.
Mr. Holting?
Oh, are you skipping me?
No, I'm not, I'm just joking.
Aren't I not there?
I don't, do we have any orders?
No.
Okay. All right, at this time, this new city business, and I would like to appoint Annie Compton for the I was gonna say part-time, the short-term position until the next election.
It's not a short term.
No.
It's-
I
We
was
would like to
gonna say
appoint her to the city council.
City
to
council.
fill
For the vacant position.
council position.
Until her replacement is duly elected and qualified.
I haven't even voted yet.
Very nice,
Don't worry.
I said,
what he just said.
I'll move to accept.
oh, sorry.
I'll second.
All in favor?
And then I should have brought my stuff to swear you in.
Yeah, you need to be sworn
Do I
in.
need to swear in?
Yeah.
Swear you
That
in.
shirt, that's right.
Can't even sit?
You can say you're
I
under.
said-
Well,
Take your armrest, sorry.
Nice, good.
To have her be a part of the rest.
well, she has
This
to, yeah, she has to be sworn in before she can do anything with votes. Yeah, you gotta get the.
Bible.
Sorry.
We kind of went.
I'll give you a
over,
park
we didn't
update.
have any work orders.
While we're waiting.
Okay, that'll work great.
Just walk right over your head.
We have officially hit $10,000 in straight donations. We're 10,500 in the account. I meet with Christy Johnson tomorrow after work. She's part of the Benmore Studios that we're going to start working with for the Heritage Trust Fund grant. And tomorrow she's doing the existing drawings, and then I think I just go and meet her. So that's underway. And then next week the park board meets, and we're going to be kicking off for our match day event in November, where we're going to start begging everybody to give us money, more money, but with a return on our investment. So look forward to hearing about it. That's pretty much it right now. So not too much going on yet. Unless Pastor Mike. My kid's keys over here.
Are we taking
Oh, Bill, make it up.
this off? What's the planning and zoning chat? Are we taking that off the agenda? Because he's not here, or like, I didn't know. But
What is that?
planning and
I do
zoning.
not know what that is all about, so we'd have to ask Stephanie.
I think he was resigning from being the
He
planning.
wanted to resign from being planning and zoning.
I do know
appoint
that.
Somebody else. That's
Oh.
what he was on.
That's on the letter that he sent.
He said, I didn't see the letter.
Who's
I
on
missed
this? You guys don't have the planning and zoning.
Yeah, but
It's
it's
right
on
there.
the county planning and zoning.
Yeah.
The city of Eskridge is allowed to have somebody on
Okay.
planning and zoning.
So I need to go and find somebody that might be interested and go up there once in
Yeah,
a
I
while.
thought he had somebody that
He
was
did.
interested.
Well, Brett was telling me he wanted you to do.
Why, yes, it was.
But nevertheless, that's what it was about, Captain.
Okay. I need to accept his resignation.
I suppose. Yeah, if we can get to the word.
Well, we do have a quorum. We could keep going on until she finds that, and then it can start going.
Or is something prior to the.
You can't vote on what I'm talking about anymore.
Probably not, I'm impartial.
Go
Not-
ahead and,
Not impartial.
can we move to squatters or caretaker's house or something like that?
Do you wanna look there?
He's probably right. I don't think I should probably vote on what he's bringing up,
Oh, okay.
but I'll pitch in on it. Go ahead. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not in charge, so don't listen to me.
My name is Mark Olting. I'm here on behalf of Flint Hills Bank. I've been in a lot of discussions with Annie over the last couple months. I'm sure I've been driving her crazy, but the bank would like to donate some money to the park to help them with their goals. I was hoping to partner with the city, to be right honest with you, to do some sort of matching contribution. We're doing this a long ways in advance of when I'm planning on doing this. For the simple reason that the way the bank's books work, I mean, I have started accruing $500 a month, and then the bank plans to contribute $7,500 is what the bank's willing to give to the park to help them with their goals. My proposal would be, I've started doing 500. It's going to take me till it'll be a year from now, and then I'll have 7,500 allotted for donation to the park. I'd like to do a matching contribution. That's kind of what I'd like to do with the city, if that's possible. So for every dollar that somebody puts in the last quarter of 2020, the bank would do 50 cents and the city would do 50 cents. And I guess the ultimate goal is hopefully we could raise 30,000 to help them proceed with. I know they've been doing a lot of work on it, and I know they've raised a lot of money, but we're trying to give them a little bit more of a shove, I guess, to get the ball rolling more downhill and hopefully get some park equipment in there at that point, whether it's the first part of 2021 or whatever, to hopefully people will then, it's hard to give money, and I think that if you've got something there, then I think it's gonna keep going. And so there's a lot of time, and I don't know.
How much money are you anticipating that you're expecting the city to donate?
Well, I would like to do a matching,
So
if we did
7,500
50-50 for $1, so 7,500.
in the next year.
Yeah, it'd be a year from now.
And
So
that
we
would-
really would do a matching contribution. So for everything that I was talking to Andy about, for everything that they raised in the last quarter of 2020, if Jerry put $100 in, the bank would do $50 and the city would do $50. So match it dollar for dollar, up to $7,500.
Okay. I understand that. So with this, so we would, that way we would have time to put it in the budget.
I know that what I've
I know
talked,
we've already done that.
I keep already doing that whole year ahead of time.
I've talked, and I mean, obviously we want some advertising out of the deal. I know Annie's spoke with other members, and I assume the city would get something on that. Also, as far as whether it's a plaque or a sign that thank you to all of our donators, or however you want to do it. I don't know, maybe you want to talk about that, but that's just kind of what we're initially planning. And I just wanted to see if the city would be interested in partnering with the bank to do that.
I think it's a great idea. I just want to make sure that with the blighted properties that we have and the progress that we've been making in tearing them down, that we still don't take too much out to make sure that we alleviate or keep enough in there to make sure that we still have enough for those blighted properties since we're happening to stop. But I mean, I think it's a great idea to help with the park.
And that's why I'm here to give plenty of warning, you know. I know you guys probably don't set aside money each month, but that's kind of
Yeah.
what the bank's doing at this point. And so I just kind of wanted to see if, and we would probably start, I'm assuming, advertising it sometime the middle part of next year.
Yeah.
And probably, you know, I think there'd be a lot of good publicity out of the whole thing. I'm hoping so. And hopefully get them
Yeah.
going downhill, I
That
guess.
You're
on it.
shooting to like campaign at the fourth quarter of 2020.
Yes,
Do it
so for every dollar that they would raise from October to December, which is fairly slow months, I mean, they're probably not gonna see much progress at that point in time, but hopefully then in the spring, if they're able to collect, if they're able to collect 30,000, I mean, 7,500 from us, 7,500 from you, and 15,000 from the general public, you know, that would be, they'd be ready to get some stuff going in the spring. It's kind of, and hopefully progress made over the summer to where we can maybe get some playground equipment.
Should be great.
All right. Does anybody else any further explanation on that?
I mean, I'm not asking for a vote or anything.
Yeah.
And we've got time, and so if somebody wants to just ask me any questions, I think you probably know where to find me.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
I think it's a great idea. Thanks, Mark.
Yep, thank you guys.
Thank you. Sorry, the printer would not work, Annie, so
Read,
if you
read
would
that.
to read
Do I
that
need to be in here right now?
No, I'm good.
aloud.
Because I need to be in here
We're
right
gonna record this for posterity so that we actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we read it out loud?
Yeah.
Yes.
I, Annie Compton, do hereby solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Kansas, and faithfully discharge the duties of City Council Member of the City of Eskridge, so help me God.
Yep, you can sign it.
Here.
Perfect.
You're here.
You're done. I'll
You're
get us out
official.
loud.
Alright. I almost couldn't read your writing there.
You can hold on to that.
Really? You need a copy of
That's
it?
gonna be your,
Sorry, I wasn't.
it's gonna be your
prepared.
souvenir.
I thought
Yeah.
you did that
For the-
with the next awesome.
Kind of looks like my law license.
Welcome aboard,
I
Annie.
swore her in
I can vote, I can vote.
Oh, dear.
Mine was written on a napkin.
Boy, if I only had a notary on my napkins there.
Yeah, that's good. Good deal. Nope, we still gotta.
I don't think Tim will mind if we move on.
Nope.
He'll be back quickly.
Well, but we have to vote on it.
Darn, you did.
Oh,
Well, they already voted up.
We already voted. She already
She
said,
just has-
okay, we're
She's
gone.
sworn in, she can make a
Planning
statement.
and zoning, Jack Foster, that is about, Jack is wanting to resign,
I won't write on it.
and he has somebody in mind to replace him, so whenever we find that out,
Yeah.
we'll.
you guys have
Yes.
it in your packet.
Jason.
You have a letter in your
Yeah,
packet.
sorry.
Yeah. It's,
So you just want to accept, did you accept his resignation?
Yes, I do.
Oh my gosh, you spelled his name wrong, by the way.
oh, he did. So then you guys don't have to like approve who he is
Well, we do,
suggesting.
yeah, I think you, no, I mean.
Well, I need to
I'm
talk to him.
Well, I didn't even know we had a
He
planning and
has
zoning.
to. He wrote a letter.
And if that is the
Okay.
case, then why hasn't he ever come and talked to us and let us know anything about what's been,
Yeah.
if he's been representing the city of Eskridge, where has his been report back to us as the council of what he's been doing and what it is? I mean, I never even
There's-
knew that existed.
The way it's set up, I think, isn't it, is that, I mean, normally the city would have its own
Yeah, do you
zoning
have it?
commission. You turn that over to the county. The county probably has rules that says that it has to, if it controls zoning within the city, it has to have at least like one member of the zoning board to be, I don't know if it's appointed by the city, but, or a resident of the city. So it very well maybe the county is the one who needs to accept this resignation.
I was gonna ask, it says Wabunsee County Planning Commission right there, and that's not us.
Yeah.
No.
Well, that's, I mean, that's a legit question is I don't know.
And if it's us, then I want to, before we appoint somebody, talk to that person and tell them that we want them to report back to us on things. If they're representing us, they should be reporting to us at
Fair
some
enough.
point in time. I mean, does that not sound logical to
That's
everybody?
Very fair.
So you'd like
Not really,
Jason to come into the next meeting or two.
I mean, I think
in
we
the
just gotta,
zoning,
No,
in
that's
the-
not a city thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
see, when I've gone to the different zoning board meetings, it's almost always about the county. If it was about the city, we'd know about it and then we could ask them to report back to us. Is that what you're saying you'd like?
Well, too, like if he's representing us, but as a whole in Eskridge, we're wanting something completely different, and then he's promoting the complete opposite that we're trying to do on our. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, like our park committee, for
Right.
example.
Yeah.
I mean, they're an extension of us. They have to come back to us to do whatever they want to do. But I want to know, does this guy really, is he under us? This
No,
position?
No,
This
they
guy,
just-
I
this
don't believe
position.
so, because the county even trumps you guys when it comes to zoning on what
So-
you may deny, and then they can go to the county and the county can approve it.
I feel like we've given this way more time than.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
there's any micromanaging that needs to be
Yeah.
done here, but I don't.
And I think
it's
Jason's a
city
real
issue.
good.
Well,
it's
they-
wrong, isn't it?
I mean, the county's gonna appoint them or they're not.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not
If
even
they-
up to us whether it's a good
If
guy
they
or
need
not.
our approval, then they'll tell us. And then when you could tell us they need our approval, then we'll get the person in here, tell them that they gotta,
Yeah.
they gotta talk to us.
Until they have to meet our approval, let's move on.
okay. 306 North Main Street.
It's a permit you guys have in your packet. They're just putting in a shed.
They're putting it in, or they already put it in and they're coming to ask forgiveness.
They've already put it in.
So they're coming to ask
It's on
forgiveness.
skids though.
Does it? Is
But-
it on skids?
Yes,
It looks like it's a free bill.
it's 10x12 pre-built on skids. They're just doing it because
They moved it in and then they were like,
a
oh, we
meeting or
probably have
two
to have
ago,
something.
Todd said it was
Leases
a
on
good
house.
idea to have.
Yes.
Yes,
Mhm.
because this, I believe, actually is.
Oh.
My opinion, once
Yeah,
again, just
yeah.
the way I read it, but it's one of them things. The permit
Haven't
would
you
be
seen
good
my
for us
law
to see
license?
where they would put it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not
If it's
interested
okay.
in allowing them to be putting stuff in their front
Versus-
sheds in their front yards, and
Well, is it still in the front yard?
it's on the side.
Well, but that's the question. Part of that house is not on private property. Remember?
No.
Part of that house is on easement.
That's ultimate.
The corner closest to the road. And that was my only concern when I saw the shed.
Okay, I don't know where the shed's at. Then I thought it was out back, like out back behind on the
If it is now,
south.
306.
see, when I first drove by and saw it, it was beside the house, like,
I think that's where the company set
That's
it off
what I
at.
thought it looked like,
Because
is
he
where-
came in and they said something about it, and
Okay.
then they filled this out, and but yeah, I
Okay.
don't know. I drove by it probably 4 times today, but I didn't.
Arnold Boots.
And to me, it looks like it's
Yes.
sitting on the ground because it's
Yeah.
it's not level.
well, it's hard to tell if it's on skids.
It's on the ground. I mean,
It
it's
might
on.
be on skids, it's just tilted.
It's
And
not.
maybe it's not where he wants to have it. He's probably gonna pull it around.
Unless it's on the road right away, and that's the highway right away.
I move to approve.
I said.
Caretaker's house.
All in
favor.
Can we vote?
Oh, God, why am I so crazy tonight?
So I
All in
missed-
favor?
I made the motion.
Yeah,
Susan.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Miss Nathan's okay.
I think
that we
should.
in some way make it clear to the citizens that they need to have permits for things before they just
Prior
want to do
to?
something.
We don't have any penalty and.
A perfect example is chickens. How many people have permits to have chickens in town?
No,
We're not talking about animal, we're talking about structures though.
And well, it's
Giving
just,
an example.
I'm giving an example. I mean, it,
Yeah, a lot of dogs aren't registered.
but like, yeah, I just think that they should have.
I'm sitting here
Yeah,
trying
before
to
they got
think
that.
if we've ever required structures that aren't permanent to be permanent.
Well, that's what they were talking about.
Yeah,
I think a lot of that, when you actually designated an employee, which used to be the public officer, to be the zoning officer as well. Building permits, stuff like that were reviewed per code by him, which was a public officer, and he actually checked off and actually just approved those. A lot of that I don't think used to come before the council at all, as long as it complied with the code, but you don't have someone. I actually think you made Jim that for a while, a couple years ago.
Yeah,
And then I don't know what happened with that, but yeah. But I mean, there's been stuff like that that hasn't been filled.
Is
Normally
it-
it would be the public officer.
So since we don't have a public officer, I have a question. Can we hire a public officer instead of by hourly, but on contract?
Yeah, sure.
Like we hired Dave on contract, you mean?
Or just like pay them when you ask them to do one thing.
Right, like per like letter they send out for,
$10 for every
well, $10
action or
is
something.
pretty cheap, I
Yeah,
think,
know, just that kind of person.
for per thing, since the person will be driving around their personal vehicle, taking pictures and all of that. $10
Well, why don't we think about that? That's a whole different.
You can pay them however you want.
It's plausible. You definitely have to have some
Money.
money.
Well, we don't have public officer right now because we've already spent a lot of our general fund already. Did we get through with that? Are we done with this discussion on that? Caretaker's house, what's about that?
I had that put on the agenda because I wanted to bring up maybe the possibility of the city of Eskridge putting that house for sale and selling it similar to something as the lodge. So we own the land, but we sell the house and somebody has the house and they pay us like the lodge would pay us. But then we would have no maintenance and no worries about the house and where we still retain the land. And then we could put in the contract if it ever burns down or whatever, we don't want you to rebuild, yada, yada, yada. But it takes it out of our hands. The maintenance and the repair, because there's a ton of maintenance and repair that still need to be able to be done to that house. And I don't think that we're going to do it. And I think if the current renter left, we'd have a hard time finding somebody else to live in the house. So I just wanted to bring it up to maybe possibly talk about or entertain maybe the idea of selling the caretaker's house.
It's sort of like what the barracks are.
And the
In
lodge.
other words, in the lodge, yeah. Does anybody else have an opinion on that? Want to think about it a little bit?
Sounds like a good idea to me, to wash your hands of something
No,
that
we're
costs
just
us
selling the
money.
house, or are we selling anything along with it, the shed that's there?
Just the house.
Does that interfere with anything you doing?
Oh, no, I just processing it.
Do we want to have discussion on this, or is everybody kind of in the same opinion?
I mean, the only thing I would think of is that you might need to plat it out. It's not in some area where it could be.
Did we, so,
Meaning essentially that, well, I mean, where you don't have that. Well, maybe not. I'm
It's
just thinking
listed
about
in-
how do you describe buying?
Yeah, it's listed within that whole piece of property over there because we do pay property tax on that one little piece because we rent it. I mean, we generate income off of it. So, but it's not platted by itself, which if you wouldn't be selling the ground, but
Is there a basement under it?
Yeah,
yes.
Cement or rock?
cement-ish.
cement, yeah.
It leaks like a sieve, doesn't it?
Everything in Kansas leaks like a sieve. To the basement. Is your basement leak?
Not at all.
Oh, that's good. That's because it's yours. Do you guys want to think, if you want to think about it, we want to table it for now and bring it back up the next meeting, or
I think we should table it and let everybody be able
kind of
to
mull it around?
mull it around in their head and let Justin think about it too, because like I said, I don't know how that would work with the sheds next to it or like the fixing of the foundation, you know what I mean? Like somebody's gonna have to get in there, if they buy that, they're going to fix it, you know what I mean? Up to
What do
their
you
standards.
think it's worth? Have you thought about
That's-
that at all?
that's
I'm curious what your end game is on that. 'Cause like, I don't know if it would be wiser to just let it generate income with minimal maintenance and a renter that doesn't
Mine.
complain about much, luckily. and then eventually it'll just go away someday, probably, or try to get something out of it and create something in the future that we're not thinking of yet that might bite us.
You're trying to create a person who has an interest in the real estate, not the real estate, but the building itself, so they'll improve it on their own, right? They'll expend money knowing that they won't be evicted in 30 days.
Well, and the treasure about the building is the fact of where it's at. It is.
But, when it comes to
Yeah.
selling it,
That's a
though,
nice spot. Yeah.
it's not an income property.
I think you get a lot of takers on that list.
Me too.
Right at the beginning of the spillway down from the launch. It's that white
Okay,
kind of
Well,
cement.
it's out there now for the public to think about it. Maybe we'll get some ideas from people, and then I can see
And
your brains.
Mike, to answer your question, I don't know exactly what number I have.
No, I was
in my
just
head about it.
curious. I don't either. I'd
But
never
I know
thought
there's
about
been
that.
some dilapidated places out there that have gotten some really good money out of them.
They own the dirt, though. You don't want to sell the dirt, right?
Oh,
Correct.
absolutely
They
not.
own the front dirt, but they don't own the lakeside dirt. Or their
Well,
their back.
doesn't matter. Dirt, a lot's worth, lakeside lot's worth $100,000. I mean, it's still there.
But it didn't deter the Barrett people and Julie or Lisa and Kenny from.
But they also
purchasing.
bought, some of those people bought those barracks pretty cheap.
Yeah, because they were pretty almost
Bought.
That's
dilapidated
right.
falling in.
Yeah,
And they're only like, what's the square footage on them?
yeah, they're
No
tiny.
idea.
20 by 20?
Unless you own the whole thing. then it's-
Maybe 30.
But then we even have it in there that they can't own two sides and connect them together. They're not ever allowed to connect them. It's in there.
Doesn't Tammy have that?
No, she
No.
owns two
It
ends of
has
opposite
something about
sides.
like a party wall or something.
Bowers
Yeah.
is one end of her side and Wall is the other end of the other one for her side. So nobody actually owns two that are connected.
Okay.
But it's written in their contracts that they can't open up in between them.
Okay, so this is tabled, and if you guys think about this, and we'll have some more interesting discussion next time. Squatters, please.
So we actually have a little influx of squatters. Talked to Todd about it. I don't know. One lady actually came in today, so she must have gotten word. She's living in the old dentist place, and she said she's been trying to fix a water leak, and she's having trouble having someone come out and help her fix the pipes. I don't know, but she was saying she is trying to get water, but she's having trouble.
Is that the lady that owns Justin, that bought Justin and Hannah's old house?
Yeah.
But she is living up there, and I think several other people are living there too. And then we have people that are living in a residential, commercial, in a commercial gas station down
like
here
trash
with
now.
no utilities.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
looks like
trash looks worse than it has in a long time.
Is that the
So-
one up here or which one?
Yeah,
Yeah, the one on the edge.
the one on.
Oh, wait, my
Baby
And I had
Street.
emailed you
living
about that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was the one I emailed about. And
No,
what we could do. So I more or less
Yeah.
put this on the agenda to ask you
Yeah.
what we can do. I don't know if I formally like send them a letter from the city.
Well, did you get my email then? I sent this morning.
Yes.
So the answer is that
The thing with the property is that it's on contract for sale. So somebody owns it and the person that's
That's
buying it on
completely-
contract is letting the people stay there. So the person actually technically still owns the property, not the person allowing the people to reside there.
well, understanding that's the case, when you have a contract for deed, the title does split, but the legal owner of the property is also responsible for the use of the property. So, to my mind, and it doesn't matter who the owner is in this instance too, because what you say is you have this code section 8, the 8500 is the code section you need to be in, which is the basically inadequate structure, inadequate services to the structure situation. Okay, so you got just a residential piece of property, contract for deed, legal owner, equitable owner, and maybe even tenants.
It's not residential.
Well, I'm just saying, this is an example so you understand the procedure. The way the code works is that you give them, and you have to make a report of the situation, who's there, what the problem is, and detail what the code, what codes are being violated. In this case, they have somebody living there without water or power or whatever that makes it so that they can't fulfill some of the requirements. Which is that you gotta have a running
Sewer?
toilet. Yeah, sewer, yeah.
What was the issue with the smelling of the sewer? That was you talking about it when you drive by to work.
Well, years ago.
That was a long time ago.
You get that, you do that report and then they present it to you guys issue a notice at the same time. And that starts, you do a resolution, you get the notice, the hearing, all that stuff happens. And if they don't do whatever, fix the problem that exists, hook themselves up, make it habitable, then you can bar people from the premises.
Does the legal owner of the property know that people are living in it?
Yes, I called him.
And does he have authority to go in there and say, get out?
Well, if he might have, so let me make sure I understand.
As far as that contract thing did, I would be highly surprised if there was ever any title insurance or ever the deed ever split or an affidavit of equitable interest, anything. This is
Well,
like a deal with a guy and a guy. It's like the
Okay.
guy that owns it is probably solely on the title.
Well, my point would be is that whatever remedies are between each party or give the authority to act, it doesn't matter. You've got somebody who's a legally title owner that you can see from the register of deeds that they're the owner. They're on the hook. Now, if they want to name somebody else who's their, the contract for deed holder, they can, but that's not required. If there's nothing in the county record that says this person is there, then you don't need to notify them. You need to notify the owner and the occupants. If the occupants are different from the deed, the purchasers on the contract for deed, then just the people who live there are the ones get thrown out. Everybody who's who has a contract interest, a legal interest, or is just staying there, all of them are subject to this. They can't escape it. And it may be the case that the guy who's a legal owner doesn't have the authority under the contract for deed to do anything to throw anybody out. Not our problem. We're closing it up. Nobody can live there. That's it. Now that may be people who are living there could say, I'm going to sue the legal owner because he gave me this thing and I can't live there. That's their problem. You're still barred until you get the place hooked up.
It's a commercial building. There's no, I didn't think you were allowed to live in that anyway.
Well, I think that's a zoning code violation.
I thought they've already been through that with that same building. I thought they've already dealt with that issue.
Well, I'm not sure how you would deal with that.
And that's why
because it's county zoning.
And that's why he was living in the RV right beside it, running up and had business, had a so-called business set up in front of it, selling stuff. I thought you guys probably dealt with this before.
Well, I don't think we had an issue of them not actually living in the building, right?
I never could find anything, so I don't know. I don't know what happened before. The only thing I could find was when Alex didn't have utilities and there was a resolution. So I didn't know the first process of.
Yeah, you're talking about, and I know it's right. There is a ordinance to say you can't live in a commercially zoned area unless some rules that aren't applicable here are there. That's fine, except you guys don't really have a zoning code. The county does. And you don't really, I don't know how you get from that point to here. The shorter route is to say, you can't live there until you get hooked up. And at the same time, we could probably say that's not fit to be a residence for an individual because it's not built for that purpose.
It has a kitchenette, a bathroom, and then space. So, and a sink. But it doesn't have utilities to it at all.
Yeah,
So they haven't been able to turn the utilities on, so.
Well, it has a toilet. It doesn't have like a shower. And
No shower, just a sink and a toilet.
Like a lot of commercial businesses.
And I believe the sink's gone because I'm pretty sure I helped Albert Smith carry that out of the building before she sold it.
I can, I'll ask Jessica, she and Carla cleaned that.
Yeah, you might have to look at the code to see exactly what it requires as far as facilities like that. I think you might need a bathtub, I'm not sure. Of some kind. I mean,
there's
of
no
course,
water.
I don't need it, but
Right, I mean, we don't have to worry about
Yeah,
that.
it
There's no
doesn't even
water.
have water. It has to have
Yeah,
water
they
to use
haven't
the
turned on
toilet.
utilities.
that's what they have
Toilet
wet
work,
wipes for.
And all right, and so that's that one. And then the second one, you're actually saying the same thing now.
Yeah, it's the same procedure.
She said that, yeah, exactly.
So if we have people living in a place,
Doesn't have water.
doesn't have water, doesn't have sewer, doesn't have a hookup, needs to be noticed this way, stopped, and
Okay.
I don't really, I
So that's
don't think
perfect.
ownership or, it has really any bearing other than the fact that it's gonna be generally, if you don't know who the occupants are, you can just label it to occupants.
Gotcha.
We know.
So as far as serving, they don't have a mailbox. I
Most of-
personally don't really want to go down and hand them a piece of
You don't have to
paper.
hand them, you post it on the front door.
Mhm. Okay.
I'll post it on the front door if you have it. I'll tape it on the front door.
Okay.
Problem solved.
I'll write the notice.
Now, on the dentistry house, or dentistry place, if she gets water there, she gets it fixed, because she had someone working on it and he died. And so that's where she got left off. But she shouldn't be living there until she has water. That's the whole thing, right?
Mhm.
Because I think that building it can be set up as a nice little apartment type thing, but she doesn't have water. She never has. So, okay, that's, never mind. I'm clear on that. If they get water to it, do you want them to come revisit and get permission to? Yes.
Well, they don't have to have permission if they just.
They have
Just
set up
get water.
utilities, problem solved.
Right.
There you go.
Until you have
Case
problems
closed.
with blight
Because-
or anything else on
So
it.
that's what we need to do it on the envelope, on the letter.
Yeah.
Is to address it that way so that, and, yeah.
Now, I hope I'm not beating a dead horse here, but the property out just past that gas station, on the other side of the road where there's a camper, a trailer, whatever,
That was Goodspeed's old lot?
yeah, that one. There's a shed there now, right?
Correct.
Did they get a permit to put that in?
No, because I didn't think they had.
Can they live there in that
We
trailer
talked about-
legally?
Well,
Yeah, it's.
it's on the
another one that's
agenda.
under Square footage and
Oh.
it's temporary, they're on skids.
Okay, so.
If he
I thought
come in
that
and
I
ask,
saw it up on a trailer, but now I think that it's more permanent because he built a permanent porch with
Porch.
posts.
because
on
he
the front of
actually
it.
did come in and asked, and then I asked, and I tried finding it in the code. I couldn't find it, and then I asked, and was under the impression they didn't have to.
And that's
And the
me, because under a certain square footage in a temporary structure, that was always my understanding. And that's how the county kind of portrays it under a
Yeah.
certain square
Yeah,
footage. It's
yeah, and
your own deal. But
it's not on the foundation.
No.
Sounds good.
and we've since
But as
changed our
far
precedents
as-
on that. and
Well, I mean, you
told
got-
people that they
okay.
should ask.
Right.
but-
It's a shed, but this is different. This is.
Well, he has two. He has the shed, and then he has the RV.
Yeah, there's like a
Which the
sweet old
RV,
airstream.
Tim, is on the agenda.
It's right after the tablet. Which we can go
Okay,
there.
so,
Yeah, I mean.
well, we've already done this one.
Mhm.
Okay, if you guys want to just hurry up and take care of the lake officer tablet for the lake officer, then we can get on to the RV ordinance and we can have a discussion there.
I don't have like an estimate. I have no idea. Tablets. We talked to Justin.
I say table it until we can talk to Justin.
Okay.
Okay. All right, RV ordinance.
Well,
Yeah.
I gave you this one.
Yes. So this one is actually in your guys' packet. It's a rough draft of what I came up with. I basically switched the name. I don't know if you want to look it over.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
still have my old one from Auburn.
Well- I don't have my packet. If someone has a packet, can you switch on?
But if you just change the names on it. then-
Oh, yeah, right here. I'm looking at here.
Yes. The only thing I had a question on I highlighted was the section of the code. I wasn't quite sure if that needed to be our municipal code or the. Oh, I guess it kind of it showed up.
No, that's probably right. That's the penalty section on
Oh,
116. I mean, I'll double check that, but that's 90%, I'm sure.
But everything else I just changed from Auburn to this.
I mean, the purpose of, when I wrote it, I think of it, didn't talk about it at the time. It was kind of a deal where somebody had a house, living in the house, and then they had family who apparently wanted to live in a trailer home, mobile home RV, not a mobile home, but an RV that was on the property. They hooked into, power and water. I think that's all they did. So, and obviously the city didn't like that, so they asked me to draft this, and I did. So it's kind of a bargain between letting some, visitors come and stay for a while versus making it into a lifestyle.
Is there anything in here that touches about like parking them along the road?
I don't think so. I don't have anything on the. This is more about use in the home or on private property. I'm trying to think. Unless you have a specific parking weight restriction or something like that, or size restriction, that usually they can do that.
So if you have somebody that you want to keep an eye on, make sure that they're healthy and safe, and you let them park their RV in your driveway, and they come inside and use your bathroom and your shower and stuff like that. Is that what you're wondering about? Something like that might be
No.
happening? No.
Sections, that's fine.
Okay.
All right, covers quite a bit, doesn't it?
I'll move to approve ordinance number 090919.
I'll second. It's pretty good.
Any of you gotten through reading it yet? You tell me when you're ready.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Huh?
You're good. Go ahead.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed?
I'm in favor. I wasn't in reading it yet.
Sorry.
I
I
was
should have
amused
asked
while
you,
you were
you're
asking
slower.
So we got 4.
Unanimous.
Good work.
Thanks.
You want a little
Nice
license?
job, Stephanie.
Yes, I do, actually.
Passing those out. Well, this is an ordinance. Does this have to be published and stuff?
Yeah, sure does.
Other towns that outlaw people or that have a ordinance against people mowing their lawn and blowing all the grass clippings out into the street.
I've
Yeah.
mentioned that. I hate that.
Yeah,
Well, there's
that's,
no way to sweep it afterwards. Except
That goes
when
down
there's
the broom.
little
Goes down the
attachment to
sewer. We're getting that replaced
I was
anyway,
thinking
right?
that in Topeka.
Storm sewer.
As traffic was gone by there.
It's called KDHE.
Can you not drive
Yeah.
that around with your lawnmower?
I've got
Into the
I've got 1 or 2 cities
Thing.
that's a sore point
There's
because
2 spelling errors. I fixed it for you.
the
Okay, we got one of those.
one of my officers is not very happy with people
Oh, I
putting
didn't
it
write
out there because he's a
Well, no,
biker.
I figured you.
And yeah, I think guys on
I think I
motorbikes
copied
are
it out of
sensitive
Auburn,
to
so I
that.
thought I'd fix
Yes.
it for you.
So it's not really in some, I've seen it in some, but I haven't seen it written like probably it should be. So I wrote one for Silver Lake and put it in their STA, and it's in there. So it's like there's part of it where you can't discharge oil and, chemicals or something in the street, and I just added one to it. So I have it.
We have that. I've seen that.
I
Yeah.
did have a guy that rode his motorcycle through Eskridge, does frequently, point out that house that Patrick used to live in, where they let the grass get really tall, super thick, and then they blew it all out into the street, and it's probably still there, even after the goalie washers
I asked
on the highway.
Joe, who used to ride motorcycle all the time, about, I said, what he thought of that, and he said it's dangerous to have grass blowing on the streets like that. And so,
I would be happy if we restricted that.
it always surprises me when people do that.
I mean, it's a hazard too, if you catch a rock or something, you're shooting it across the road, whatever.
I guess we always assume that people are as thoughtful as we all are, right? Do you want to
Well, I
consider
think some
making
of them have just done it for so many years, and even when it was gravel, that they do it and don't even think of it. 'Cause it's
Oh, I
just
think
something
so.
they've
I
done
don't think
forever,
they think I'm gonna
but-
put it in the road. They're just mowing.
Right,
There's
not
people,
thinking of
there's
it.
people on K4 that do it.
Yeah.
I drive K4 and there's grass, they've mowed their yard. and there's
Yeah, I've
grass
had
all
them
over
throw
the road.
rocks out of my car as I've driven by.
See, I like blowing the grass in my ditch out on the road, but I do stop and turn my blades off every time the vehicle comes. Then the grass blows away because they're going 60 miles an hour.
Oh,
I'm sure our farmers know the same way.
And just so you know, even though I've passed it in a number of cities, I've never had to prosecute anybody for it. Because
Yeah, I
people
think it's
then,
an educational thing,
yeah, you tell them
actually.
that this is what happens, and you can go online and get a couple of stories about people who really got hurt. I mean, think how you feel. Someone got hurt because you put grass on the street.
So do you want to make an ordinance, or do we just want to educate the public by, just,
Well, if you think educating the public is gonna help without doing it, but I mean,
Well, you're educating the public by passing the ordinance.
this is true.
through that,
And then I'll further teach them, further instruct them if advanced classes are necessary.
Much like speed limits in town and all other laws, we gotta have somebody to enforce them.
That's true.
a public officer can do the throwing of grass on the
We need a
street.
cop. Public officer. Anyway, but we can't afford that right now.
No, we cannot.
We can't afford a public officer either. All right, so should we have him make up an ordinance for us and?
I can just do the same thing I did.
Can't afford Todd right now.
I
No, I know.
Sorry.
We can't afford a public officer, now you wanna hire the lawyer?
Scales just.
We charge for that.
A lopsided there, Todd.
Yeah, well, I'm not an artist, I'm a lawyer. Probably the way to do it is you guys probably need to do your 2019 STOs, right? Did you get that packet from Ligon?
I'm sure.
Okay.
Is that your one? 'Cause we just did that.
Well,
What was every-
no, every year, you're supposed to do it every year, so it was, I just did one for Silver Lake, so I'm assuming it's been out recently. So that would probably be the easiest I could send you that STO. I can do it, and you guys just do what you know with it.
No, it's okay. No, I gave it back.
Oh, here.
No, I gave it back. It's fine. It's like 3 more things. It's okay.
I can get it.
No, you're okay. Oh. I kept looking for it later.
Oh, you're
like,
Okay, mobile home ordinance.
So I was asked to put this on the agenda. I was asked to see if we could link that in with RV, and I talked to Todd, and it's kind of not doable, so.
Well,
It has to be a separate thing.
Well, I think the issue and I didn't go to any depth in this because I didn't know what the feeling was, but my knee-jerk reaction is that I've always had problems because I don't think you can legally zone mobile homes out of existence, if that's the idea.
Is that what your intentions are?
Yes.
Okay. And that's how it's usually done, is you would say zoning ordinance says no. I think what the kind of settlement of it has been is that you create a zoning ordinance that disallows it except for established or to be built mobile home parks. Meaning you essentially put it in an area where mobile home parks are. But you
So-
put an outright ban with no place to have them. I haven't looked at it, but that kind of raises my antenna on a problem.
yeah.
That raises my antenna too. I lived in a mobile home for 8 years because I can afford to build a house.
My
And it
concern
served a
is-
purpose.
My concern is all but one of the trailer houses that are currently in Eskridge are all blighted properties that we're sending letters to. So several of them have been torn down. A couple more still need to be torn down. I believe that your property value will go down with the mobile home being put in next to your property. Is that not correct, Todd?
I don't know. But I think there's two ways to it that you're mentioning that.
And I don't want my property value, nor do I think Tim or Brad want our property, or Annie, our property values to go down because a trailer house
So
is
you're
placed
gonna
in an
deny
empty lot.
somebody an affordable home because you're worried about your property values that are already devalued by every assayer in the county. When they come to Eskridge, they,
Exactly. We do
automatically
not
do
need
that
any more
because they
reason
say-
for our property values
Right,
to be
but-
shot down.
but then you're going to, what are you worried about? Oh, no, I don't wanna get
Well,
into
this-
argue about that.
The thing to think about, first of all, I think there's state law that says that mobile homes of a certain age are not allowed anymore. I mean, older than I can't remember what the years now, 1980s
30.
vintage.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Also, since the county would control zoning, that would be the first thing to check. And the problem is, even if you were to pass an ordinance right now, if you're talking about the things that exist now and are in place, then you can't enforce that. You got their,
Well, yeah, what's
Non-conforming
there
uses.
is there, correct?
We get that.
yeah. And there's probably a way to attack that differently, but you're still not in charge of zoning to have a good way to amortize that use. So probably the question would be then whether there is, I mean, you guys have the authority to do this. I think outside of the zoning context, it's just as whether that's legal or not to forbid that kind of housing. And like I said, it just raised the antenna. I may be out of place on this and may be wrong, but
Can you
So
look
if
into
we
that?
have,
I can, if you guys direct me to do that, I can find out.
I have a grave concern about this. You're talking about trailer houses that have been abandoned as the same as you're talking about houses that have been abandoned and so they become blighted property. What's the difference between a blighted property house and a trailer?
The
One's cheaper to
likelihood,
get, the likelihood,
obviously.
but still you're denying, I mean, what if I could not afford a home right away. It took us a while to get the money to afford a home and make it into a home. And where would I have lived until then?
Dolly, you're talking to a person that his parents lived in a trailer house and built their house around it, pulled the trailer house out, finished building the house.
And
That's
you're gonna
irrelevant.
deny that to somebody
That's
else?
irrelevant to me.
Well, I don't think there are nice trailer houses that have been brought into the community and so, or at least one that I know of. And so is that what you're trying to, I mean, to me, you're denying people the ability to have a home that they can afford.
Well, the way our property values are in town, they should be able to afford our properties.
Pretty much. But I think that those property values are wrong and I think they're judged wrong and it bothers me. But
Right, but nonetheless, I do believe trailer house goes in next to somebody, their property values are all gonna start going down. And we already deal with a ton of blighted properties from the trailer houses in town as it is. 2 have been torn down this year alone that were just abandoned. There's another one that needs to be torn down as well. There's one that we've had constant issues with utilities and other things. So yes, there's been one in 6 months that's been moved in.
yeah. And she's happy and it looks like a nice little lot. I don't think that snobbery should be allowed when it comes to housing. And, somebody might want to bring a trailer in to live in for a while as they save up money to build a house. And if they feel welcome in the community, I would like them to stay here.
But we obviously disagree.
We sure do. We sure do.
Well, what does the council direct?
My vote is I would still like you to look into it. There's 3 other people that,
Well, probably just to be safe, let's have a motion there. Just, all you gotta do is say, motion to have Todd look into it.
motion have Todd look into it.
Specifically looking at what, Brett?
Oh, if you got a vote.
I'm not running off. I'm throwing that in the trash.
To examine whether you can forbid mobile homes within the city limits. Simple enough.
Forbid, restrict, whatever the verbiage.
Deny.
That's a good one too.
Well, see, that's the thing is we had the power to deny that.
Deny what?
The last trailer that came into town.
We were told it wasn't a trailer,
No, that's true.
correct?
That's true.
That was the argument, whether it was. a
And then it
mobile
turned
home
into a what?
Or a.
It was a house. It was a house. You know, I was told over and over it's a house.
Do they consider a prefab building, which is what that is, a mobile home? Because that's not a mobile home, that's a prefab building.
Well, that gets into the
See,
definitions
I
of the zoning
mean,
code.
so then you're into.
Manufactured home,
Yeah, I mean,
manufactured home, modular home. And again, that's gonna be, you're gonna have a lot of definitions there. You guys don't have to worry about that. If you want to look into it, I will.
I think we're specifically talking about mobile homes, but if all of what he said was grouped in with it, I'm fine with that.
Well, there's some state law definitions of both of those right now. So it's not like your guys are gonna be able to kind of create a wheel here. You're gonna have to live with the definitions that they have and propose, how that works. So I don't think you're going to be looking at just saying, well, we're just, we're going to say mobile homes. You're going to line out, you'd have to line out in the end exactly what you mean by each and everything. And if somebody comes in and has a prefabricated home that they build on a foundation, but they bring it in on trucks, and that's fine, you'll allow it, that kind of thing. Versus, a mobile home from across the way, no.
Well, in the past, we've denied that.
Doesn't
coming
Alma
in
restrict
anyway.
the mobile homes?
I don't know.
Hey,
I don't know.
sure. I can find that out easily enough.
Yeah, I've got the county zoning, I just can't find they aren't labeled according to.
Whole thing is like a paragraph long, isn't it?
But anyway, I mean, we can leave it as looking into it if everybody else wants to have you look into it.
Well, but you made a motion.
I made a motion, so there needs a second or it fails.
I'd like to know what Alma does first.
well, isn't that what we're asking him to do? To find out exactly what?
What our restrictions are and what we can.
And that's not too tough because the city attorney for Alma is the guy down the hall from me.
Well, he never goes, does he?
Dude, Tom,
Tom, yeah.
are you telling on him? That's where he's telling us he's going.
Hey, as long as he's billing them, right? All about the billables.
I guess there's some gal named Alma down at Shop 56 or something. But,
I'll second it.
That place was still open.
Been a motion and a second, all in favor.
Okay, good enough.
IGA building. The IGA building, the contractors came, I think Brent, you saw most of them when you walked in the store that day, and they took the key and I followed Mike's advice and did not go inside. I did not want to swim in the basement. They said that it had deteriorated a lot more than what they had thought with all the rain and stuff that we've had this season. The building is unrecoverable, so we need to think about demolition in the future. I would like to see if we can get a grant, some sort of money to try and tear it down.
Versus trying to get a grant and some money to fix it up.
There's no fixing it up.
Well, everything is fixable if somebody wants to put in the time to make it fixable.
If you got the money to spend that much money, what'd you say, $100,000?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so
How
we
much do you
need
think it's
to,
gonna cost to tear that down and then to
I
tuck
don't know.
point each building
maybe
that's
20 or
left?
30.
Cause that's still your wall,
I don't know.
still part of your wall that you'll have to retuck
Well, you
point.
see, that's where you take bids on it and see if you can accept any bids.
8,000 into a house, it's gonna be more than 20 or 30.
Well, maybe. Might be easier though. They can just take one of those big old jumpers. Right. No, the contractors that were there that day talked to me about how to do that. He said you got to tear the wall out so that you can see how it might be attached to the buildings next door, and then you have to free it from the building next door. And the contractors said there are certain things you could do to protect the buildings next door. So in other words, you get experts to do it. And yeah, he's probably right. It's going to cost a little bit to do it.
A lot of liability in that.
There's going to be a lot of liability in black mold crawling up the wall.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, yeah, it's a professional because that professional has a lot of liability.
Yeah, and that's why
Buildings
that's
next
why
to it.
even Bob has insurance when he tears down anything. He has insurance. So anybody that bids on this is it's going to cost us. So would you, what do you guys have in mind instead? Anything else?
So, sorry, not to,
That's okay.
the people that went through were the ones that were interested in buying it
Mhm.
originally.
Mhm.
Do we need to have somebody that we pay to go through it and give us their actual opinion on how to
If they'll risk it.
take care of the situation? I mean, I guess, I don't know, maybe not, maybe it's a waste of money or time, but to have someone,
They should give a bid for free
On
if
our
they're
behalf.
wanting a job. I mean, people usually.
Oh, yeah, if anybody's going to come in and bid on it, they'll have to
Okay.
do it carefully.
So when you say tear it down, you wanna tear the front of the building down?
Well, it depends on, there would be because I've mentioned that to them and they said that probably could be kept there, but it would cost more to do that. And he suggested that you take a picture of it because it's a fake facade there anyway. And take a picture of it and then have it rebuilt afterwards if you want to keep that particular look. Because there is that reddish brick stuff is over stone. You know that. Because you can see it if you go up there and look at it.
Glass spots on it.
Mhm.
but they're no longer interested in purchasing it. We're done with it.
So you might have to ask, if you wanted to ask for bids, and you would ask two different ones, tearing down the whole thing and then
How is the SHPO thing coming? Are they gonna come out and meet with us to look at the buildings that we have on Main Street?
I don't know. I talked to that one. I'll have to get hold of them again. That is the Historical Society to put everything on. Okay, just so you guys know.
Thank you for that update. That
Yeah.
was awesome.
Yeah, it's to
I don't
put,
want my building on the
The
Historical
buildings.
Society. Whatever. I don't want anybody to have control over my building. Yeah. Besides, the front of my building's been altered, so. As is that one. That one is only 50 years old, front of that building. They built that when I came back.
It's a good thing that you can't have touched the fronts of them in 50 years.
It's very modern. 1970, I don't know. I don't feel that ancient, but maybe I am. Okay, so, what do you want to do about the building? Do you want to get bids on it? Do you want to? Yeah,
What's your time frame?
I'm not wanting to get bids on it, cause why would we get a bid when at the last meeting, we were told we barely have enough money for $8,000 to tear down a blighted property?
exactly, but we gotta know where to
And you
start.
suggested us doing one property per year,
Yeah.
so if we do one property per year at $10,000.
I'm talking about the
we have
city being
5.
responsible for a building
gonna
that's
talk
gonna
over me?
collapse. Or, I'm talking about the city being, actually I was, because you're the one that's always worried about this. We gotta get professionals to do it.
We still
But
don't have
we-
the money to do it regardless.
That's why we gotta plan on this.
But we don't have money to do it.
So if we don't have the money to do it, then we're just gonna let it fall down like that building over there.
We'll find a way. Exactly the
We'll
answer that we
find a
got
way.
when we didn't have money to do anything for the park. And then lo and behold, we created the park board that is now generating money and getting things done and about to redo the park. We're still sitting in the same spot we had, no money to put in the park. But look what we have now. We have the park board and it's doing so. We're gonna have to figure something out here. Absolutely right.
I know
However,
all about
knee
that.
jerking reaction, getting a
It's
bid
not
to
a
tear down the
knee-jerk-
building
not a
when we have no
knee-jerk.
money, when
You
you
have
clearly
to-
sat there and said that at the last
Well,
meeting.
how are we gonna
and now
find
you're
out
coming
about
back
how
on it.
much it's gonna cost unless we put it out there and ask people to bid on it or something? Do we find out about such things? That's what I'm asking you. It's the same thing as with the curb and guttering. You guys sent me out on a goose chase to try and find out how much it was gonna cost to replace the curbing and gutting on the seats. And the guy said, all three of the contractors that I contacted said, when you guys get serious, let us know. We'll give
We
you a
are
bid."
serious. We hope that
On the
that
curb and
1%
guttering?
sales tax passes that is
Well,
designated
but
to go
you
to.
see-
I mean, that's us planning ahead.
That's right. Let's start planning right now ahead on what we're gonna do with that building.
Well, getting a bid is.
Okay, I'll interject real quick, if I may.
Thanks.
Using the term bids, you're gonna shoot yourself in the foot. I guarantee you, when you want people, no, that's what a bid is. I would say a professional opinion. You research a professional, you request their services on giving you an estimate on what they think it would take. You don't need to keep reaching out for bids. What you do when you we're gonna bid this, we're gonna bid this, we're gonna bid this, which we're not obligated to. You are overpaying for everything you do.
That's what I was
Okay.
getting to, but I
When
didn't want to
someone
sound like
bids
a
something,
doctor's
they are
office.
set at that price. They are gonna
Give a
make
second
sure,
opinion.
almost make sure they're never gonna lose money, okay? When you're happy with someone's services, I highly recommend you ask them to do a service for you. Okay, now this whole get bids on everything. Yes, a lot of things that you want to bid out. You want to get the best price on things you can. Some things have to be bid out.
But we
Some
just need
things do not.
guidance in this scenario.
Yes, at this point, you need to research a
This is how
professional.
you
that
drag an answer out of him,
Structural
'cause I've been,
engineer.
Let the man
I've
talk.
been-
Come on.
no, he.
No,
he
and I just
knows.
want to put that out there because it's always about getting bids on this, getting bids on that. I know for a fact, not for a fact, but in my educated opinion on stuff like that, that you have overpaid for things that you have bid recently. I would almost, you'd have to get someone to say, yep, I'll do it for this and I'm not going to lose money. I'm going to do it for this. If you would hire someone and say, hey, I appreciate this. We'd like to try to use you again. What do you think it's going to take? An estimate? Probably going to get a better deal. But yes, as far as this deal, I would say come up with somebody you can all agree on that you would trust. A structural engineer absolutely is going to have to be involved. That's going to be a price. I mean, they're not going to come out pro bono, obviously. If you ever find an engineer that works for free, let me know. But yeah, and just get an opinion on what route. Get an educated opinion by a professional on what route you guys should take. And I'm not saying contractors, people that are actually going to come in and do it, because there's going to be a middleman there, somebody that's going to be on site inspecting the whole process, and then that will be put out for bids to companies that are capable of even doing anything like that, guaranteeing that your building's going to be fine and the other building's going to be fine.
That's all I like to see estimates on that, tearing it
Mhm.
down and making sure everything's safe versus making it a usable structure and see what the difference is.
Right.
To see if it would benefit us to throw a little bit more money at it, fix it up and move our damn building over there. Because this building leaks, this building has issues. So if the price value's not
Yeah.
too far
Once
off,
again, there,
it's
find
bigger.
somebody
It's,
to-
I mean, why don't we use it if it's feasible?
that's more educated. But yeah, and I'm not saying that this maybe isn't what both of you are thinking, but that whole get bids. I'm sorry, that just.
Well, I was looking for the proper language.
No, I understand, and a lot of times you work somebody by the hour, you're gonna get a better price. That's all there is to it. You make somebody bid something, they're gonna make sure they don't lose money, and you're overpaying for the job 99% of the time. Just what it is.
Thank you.
Okay, no.
Sorry.
No, thank you for that. That's what I think I was trying to get to.
No,
right?
No,
you're-
it's like
you're hung up a
every
little
once in
bit
a while,
there,
it
so.
just comes out and then he educates and then I.
No, you're all, I don't disagree with anybody. Yeah, something has to be done. We might have to go one way, it might have to go another way. The only thing
That's-
is
yeah,
it's
I
gonna
feel
have
like
to
we
be
haven't
done
Decided
by
completely
somebody
without
that's capable of
more,
doing it.
yeah. And it's like with the park, we need someone to tell us what we're doing.
Well,
We're not
and-
actually gonna bid until we
well,
have the
and
money
the
ready
thing
to
that
do
you
it.
need to know is the city has had this building for about 8 years.
Oh, I know that. You
It
don't
had
need
it
to tell
for
me that.
like probably 10.
Not-
and they haven't put a penny into it.
Yeah, this whole time, last 10
I remember
years.
shopping there, so.
Yeah,
I remember watching.
All right.
the
Yeah, I missed
Nobody
that
ever
from
wants
that time too. I'm getting really sad about it. Good stuff.
okay, did somebody ask for an executive session?
I did.
And is Mike and, are they required to be here?
Mike
or
is.
not? Hi, Missy, 15
Well, I
minutes
need a motion.
Yeah, you
On
need
what
to-
I
For
need
executive session.
For what?
for,
For
Non-elected person.
non-elected personnel?
Yeah.
How long?
15 minutes.
15 minutes, starting at 9:15.
10 minutes if we get done early. Can we
Can't
get
do
done
that.
early?
Do 10 minutes
Let's do
each
10
stand.
minutes.
10 minutes each stand starts at
Be
9:15.
realistic.
I know, but I
I'll
want the
never have
size
10
that I
minutes
got.
Do we have a second? Thank you.
All in favor?
Thank you.
thank you.
And then, let me turn that off. I'll tell you
Okay,
when.
I'll watch a little light.
Scream when it's off.
No screaming. I don't know what to turn off and use.